Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, pushing the word truthfully and sincerely. Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, pushing the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say shalom to you Akim out there, and this is another quick sit-down lesson through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Shai on this September the 14th, 2022 at 11:52 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Wednesday night. And this is a news article from JapanTimes.com. And this was highlighted on September 15th, 2022. And a highlight of this news article, and it reads from the Japan Times, and it reads, Japan and the United States consider joint research to counter hypersonic weapons. It says the Japanese and U.S. defense chief agrees on Wednesday that their nations will undertake joint technological research to counter hypersonic missiles as they work to closely align the national security strategies, amending China's growth assertiveness in the region. The talks between the Defense Minister Yakuzak Haramanda and his U.S. counterpart Lloyd Austin at the Pentagon, their first in-person meeting since Hamanda's appointment last month, came amending heightened tensions over Taiwan's following U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi recent trip to the self-ruled island. It says China conceived actions in the Taiwan Strait in the water surrounding Japan and the proactive destabilizing and apprehended it. Austin said in the offset of the meeting, apparently alluding to China's increase of military activity in response to the high-profile U.S. visit of Taiwan in early August. And Haramanda and Austin also strongly criticized of China's launch of ballistic missiles as part of the large-scale exercise near Taiwan last month, some of which fell into Japan's exclusive economic zone as a serious incident that affects Japan's security and the safety of the public, according to the Japanese Defense Minister. The two ministers affirmed that a unilateral change in the status quo by force is unacceptable in the Indo-Pacific region, confirming their country will cooperate closely and seamlessly towards preventing any such attempts, Minister says, while making clear that scrutiny strategists are on the same page. Hiramanda and Austin agrees to engage and concentrate efforts to boosting the bilateral security alliance, in which, where they can, the areas including technologies to defend against hypersonic missiles, amending a intensifying arms race with China and Russia. Hypersonic weapons are designed to travel more than 5 times the speed of sound. Detections of defense against them and challenging because they can maneuver en route to the target and fly at lower altitudes in conventional ballistic missiles, according to the experts. A Japanese government official said it will focus on envisaged joint research will be on technologies and components that will be necessary for the development of missiles that can intercept hypersonic missiles. And this is a photo right here. The defense minister Yakozaz Hermanda and the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd attending an honor to guard ceremony at the Pentagon on Wednesday. It says the two countries also decided a joint analyzing information to be collected by the U.S. military. The MQ-9 Renaissance drones that will be temporarily deployed to the American Self-Defense Force Air Base to Koroskoma Protector Prefecture. During the talks, Hiramanda, if I pronounced that right, explained Japan's resolve to fundamentally bolster its defense capabilities through a plan to update of its national security documents with a substantial increase in its defense budget. Austin showed strong support for Japan's plan. Hiramandas told reporters the defense capability that Japan is currently examining, including an ability to attack missile launcher sites in enemy territories, which Tokyo had far opted against acquiring under the post-World War II Pacific Constitution. Japan plans to update its national security strategy by the end of this year, reflecting on the regional increasing challenges of security involvements. It will be the first revision of the long-term security and diplomacy policy guidelines since it was adopted in 2013. In March of this year, the U.S. Defense Department unveiled an outline of its own national defense strategy, calling China the most consequential strategic competitor, and it vows to prioritize the challenge posed by China over those by Russia. China considers Taiwan a breakaway province to be reunified with the mainland by force if necessary. The island is viewed as a potential military flashpoint that could draw the United States into conflict with China. It says the Taiwan constituents is also particular concern for Japan, given a proximity of the islands in the southwest, including the Senkakus, a group of East China Sea islet controlled by the Tokyo, claimed by Beijing. And it says Austin reaffirmed the unwavering commitment for the United States to the defense of Japan, including extending deteriorations back of the full range of the U.S. nuclear covenant defense capabilities, as it reiterates the U.S. stance the Senkaku Island, called by the DOU by China, falling with the scope of the U.S. Japan Security Treaty meeting. Washington would come to Tokyo aid in the event of an armed attack against the uninhabitable elites, according to the Japanese officials. So yeah, as Japan and the United States form this heavy, agreeable security alliance, because you have a strong allegiance between China, I mean, not China. I meant to say South Korea, Japan, and the United States as well too, as they have tensions growing between China and Russia and North Korea. And I believe Kim Jong Un made that statement about almost a week ago about he making his nation as a military weaponry state, and that he refused to destabilize his nuclear capability. So even if it is violating the UN violation of nuclear weapons as be considered as a nuclear bomb or a nuclear threat potentially to the world and potentially to the United States and South Korea and Japan as well too. As you see, United States and Japan has a high form of an agreement of a security alliance as they continue to counter hypersonics and they try to potentially undertake North Korea and China and Russia combined. So that lets you know these growing more and more and more of the wars and rumors of wars. And I'm gonna bring that scripture out as I always normally do. This is the book of matter of fact, I'm gonna do Mark 13:7. Salaki. Go right back to it. This is Mark 13:7. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 7, and it reads through the Holy Scriptures. Mark 13:7, and when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must need be, but the end is not yet, right? Because more prophecies are coming. We already know the MLTB with the Karagma. That's going to come along with the Revelations 11 and 14. Second woe was past, behold, third woe coming quickly. And we seeing signs of that. And we seeing signs of wars and rumors of wars increasingly by the day as we do sit down lessons on a daily basis of these news updates in regards of the rumors of wars and the nations rising up against nations and kingdom against kingdoms, And I'm going to bring out Matthew 24:7. Then I'm going to close out the lesson. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdoms. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. As I stated before, previous times, constantly, consistently, numerous of times. As I stated once again, nations rising up against nations, increasingly now more than ever. Nations rising up against nations, kingdom against kingdom. So these things are going to continue to grow and to continue to build. And these the nations are definitely going continually against one another, and it's going to continue to heat up, especially with the Beijing versus Washington, China versus the United States, North Korea versus South Korea. You got the South Korea, Japan, United States teaming up against North Korea, as they see North Korea, uh, China, and Russia as threats as well too. So these things are continuing to build up. You know, as you seen, I was reading through the news article. You know, they worry about a potential invasion of China. They trying to unify China with Taiwan, because China is the mainland China in that island region over there. You know, they were saying like China might potentially invade the Taiwan island, even if it's by force, to have them reunified with one another. Cause they still under the one China policy law, and then cause Taiwan separated from China, I believe in 1949, after the war they had with a communist group or something like that, from what I heard, the history about that. But you know, China still look at Taiwan as still as one of them, you know, and as a sovereignty, self-governor island in a Taiwan Strait, in a Taiwanese island, you know. And you have the United States recently, I believe it was 1.9, I mean 1.19 billion military aid weaponry sold to Taiwan. It was approved by the Congress, I believe, about a couple of weeks ago. And I believe they sent more additional to that as well too. It's about the second or third time, I believe. And you know, China look at that as a serious threat, you know. And I believe, as I was reading through the article, you know, that's this war, if a potential invasion from China of the island of Taiwan, if that was going to happen, you know, the United States are definitely was going to get involved in it, you know. So that lets you know the continual increase of wars and rumors of wars. That's just prime examples of what we hear in the news on a daily basis of these rumors of wars is heating up. And it's gonna furthermore heat up as well too, you know, as the nations rising up against nations, kingdom against kingdoms, you know. And it's gonna increase more and more and more and more as we starting to see these things increasingly more often nowadays now. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Wakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a ball.